The 2024 cycle is sharing massive similarity with the 2017 and 2021 cycle. Will Bitcoin follow in their footsteps, continuing to a new all-time high, entering a parabolic season? How are the short-term price action charts developing? And will the Bitcoin dominance chart break down from a 1.5 year long uptrend? These are topics we're discussing in today's video. Let's dive in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having an absolutely fantastic day today. In today's video, we are leaving no stone unturned, going over the macro and the short term in massive amounts of detail. By the end of today's video, you have a detailed and well-rounded understanding of not only what you should be paying attention to, what to expect next, but how the price is developing. We'll also be discussing a very important 1.5 year long uptrend on the Bitcoin dominance chart, when, if broken, could trigger the start of the parabolic season for altcoins. Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos of Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you are interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. If you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, join us on VIP. With over 600 members, we post trading setups with exact entry prices, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. Look at all these profits we have been printing. If you are interested in getting access to this chat with over 600 members, including access to our trading chart and education group chat, our general chat, our news, our help, our daily video, and our trade setup chat, you can go ahead and contact me on the pinned comment of the free channel. For more information, go ahead and click those links. Let's go ahead, guys, and dive into the video. So starting on the market data, how are we looking? 24-hour volume sitting at an equal 200 billion, down 2.27% for the last 24 hours. 24-hour liquidations are down 40%, sitting at 195 million. Of the 24-hour liquidations, 93 million have come from long positions, and 101 have come from short positions. Taking a brief look at the last 24 hours of price action, we can see Bitcoin saw a very strong rally up to retest that low $70,000 region. In fact, retesting the range high of the high time frame 2+ month long consolidation range. We've now come up and we have retested that range high. We discussed in yesterday's video that the range high, although it was a fantastic move, resistance is resistance until it is not, and particularly after these large volatile moves, we generally do see short-term corrections. We discussed in yesterday's video that our two short-term targets were going to be, again, the $71,000 region, which we did see we held support for quite some time before dropping, and our next target was around the 69 to 68,500 region, which we are coming down into a retest as of right now. So we have seen a short-term correction, again, flushing out a lot of those late long positions, and again, a lot of those short positions were flushed out on this rally upwards. Let's go ahead and jump over to the broader markets. We'll come back and discuss Bitcoin in massive detail later. Moving over to the DXY, we can see the DXY is still traveling along that uptrend. We are still sitting in this pocket zone between that yearly level of now resistance. It was once support, it is now resistance, and our yearly uptrend. Again, we are coming to an apex within the next 2 weeks, so we are expecting a directional move, whether it be a breakdown or a break up on the DXY, to occur before the 10th of June. So we are looking for a directional move quite soon. From a technical perspective, we can see the momentum, the overall momentum here on that yearly trend is still positive, so we do not have any leading indicators suggesting we are going to expect a breakdown as of right now. However, that can of course change. As of right now, this support level is actually showing us it is remaining a support, but we do have a resistance over here, so it's going to be very interesting to see where the DXY does move to. Of course, if we break over this resistance, we could see a move back up to retest these high points. That would be quite bearish for risk assets, and if we do see a breakdown over here, we are going to see risk assets absolutely fly because they are now retesting basically their 2024 all-time high point. So again, watching the development of the DXY over the next 2 weeks, particularly watching upcoming economic data, leading data for inflation, that can directly impact the direction of the DXY. Moving over to the S&P 500, we can see with 2 days and 22 hours remaining on that close over here on the weekly, we have now breached that prior high point. So looking absolutely fantastic over here. Again, a weekly candle close above this level will facilitate a macro continuation upwards. We're looking at those high points of even potentially 6,000 on the macro chart. Again, provided we remain above 5,000, we are expecting that break upwards and continuation. Only if we drop below 5,000 prior to closing a weekly candle above that high point would we see a correction downwards. So overall, very strong, macro bullish, looking fantastic. Moving over to the Dow Jones, very similar position over here. We are lagging just a little bit in comparison to the S&P 500, sitting under that high point. Again, we are expecting that to follow the S&P and continue upwards in the days to come, provided we remain above the 38 to 37.7k region. We are expecting the macro directional continuation to be an upward move into the next leg of the bull run. So keep your eyes on those charts, very interesting. A quick summary of what we're going to be discussing today. Like we mentioned, we're going to be taking a look at this trend line. This is our 1.5 year long uptrend for Bitcoin dominance. We're going to be discussing the significance of this and why this could trigger the start of the altcoin season. We'll briefly discuss the altcoin season itself in reference to the Bitcoin dominance chart. We're going to be going over the total cryptocurrency market cap for, again, the whole cryptocurrency market, and taking a look at the weekly chart on Bitcoin, and most importantly discussing what is happening on the short term, what you should be paying attention to, and what to expect next on both the higher time frame and the macro price action of Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and dive in. Before we do, a quick word from today's video sponsor. I wanted to briefly interrupt today's video to discuss the two exchanges we use on this channel, BitGet and BingX. So which exchange should you sign up to? If you look to the right hand side of the screen, you're going to see the list of differences in relation to KYC requirements and the countries these exchanges offer services to. The first link down below being the BitGet link, and the second link down below being the BingX link. No matter which link you sign up to, you're going to get up to 15% discounts on your trading fees, up to $5,000 in trading rewards, and of course, you'll get access to every single MegaWhale exclusive bonus campaign we run on these exchanges. Alongside that, BitGet and BingX are incredibly similar. They are both ranked top 10 in terms of trading volume. They both have extensive liquidity pools and market pairs offering up to 125x leverage. And most importantly, they both offer protection funds for their users to protect you against any third-party hacks. So get started now and support the channel by clicking the links below. Thanks for listening. Okay guys, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So we're going to start off on those higher time frame charts and break it down to the smaller time frame. So moving over to Okay guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. So we're going to start in the exact order we just told you what the topics of the video were going to be. So starting on Bitcoin dominance. What we can see here is Bitcoin dominance is now retesting a major 1.5 year long uptrend. And this uptrend of Bitcoin dominance started in late 2022. We have finally now retested a point at which we could be seeing a possible breakdown of this trend. And this breakdown or this retest of this trend line is coming after a major resistance retest of what was once the support level of Bitcoin dominance throughout the 2019 into the 2021 phase, where then we saw the correction which led to the parabolic altcoin season. So we're actually retesting the 2021 to 2019 area of support now as an area of resistance, and as a result of that rejection, we are now retesting a 1.5 year long uptrend. So a breakdown of this uptrend will actually officially put Bitcoin dominance into a downtrend for the first time since the late 2022. Now, as we can see over here, guys, we know that if Bitcoin dominance decreases as the total cryptocurrency market cap rises, we actually see a altcoin season. If we do look at the total cryptocurrency market cap over here, we can see we are expecting the total cryptocurrency market cap to increase in value as we have now retested a major area of support on the higher time frame. This is a $2.2 to $2 trillion level, which was once a prior level of resistance. In fact, acted as the dead cat bounce high from the prior bull market. So we are expecting the overall trajectory of the total cryptocurrency market cap to increase over the coming months. And with that potential breakdown of Bitcoin dominance, we have the perfect combination which could develop into an altcoin season, which is one more time Bitcoin dominance falling with the total cryptocurrency market cap rising in value. So this could trigger the start of the altcoin season. And of course, the altcoin season isn't something that just turns on like a light switch. It builds up into it. There's a slow progression of strength moving into altcoins and taking away from Bitcoin, and that generally moves into an altcoin season. So let's take a quick look at the altcoin season. If we take a look at this chart here, guys, this basically categorizes the different phases of which we see the market move within during the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, which is also the cycle for altcoins. What we can see here, the most important level is going to be when we break over point number 1. This breakout of point number 1 is when we enter phase number 5, and phase number 5 is the parabolic season for altcoins. So you can see where we are currently sitting is well under the point number 1, indicating that we are not yet in a parabolic season for altcoins. But if we do start to see Bitcoin dominance drop, we could see that increase and develop into the parabolic season. So it could facilitate the movement towards a parabolic season for altcoins. Really quickly, phase number 1 is the dead cat bounce high of the prior all-time high. We move into phase number 2, which is the yearly level of resistance. Below here is bear market accumulation. Phase number 3 is the breakout of the bear market resistance, where we have a week to 2 week or a couple week period of horizontal consolidation above that horizontal resistance, flipping it as support. Phase number 4 is the development of the bull market. This is when we generally start to see leading altcoins perform very well, such as Peep, such as Link. All these leading altcoins are doing very, very, very well. We also see a massive correction for altcoins during this period, around 30 to 40%, as represented by the retest of the pi cycle midlines and the circled area, the red circle, which we saw in both phases. And then we enter phase number 5 after Bitcoin dominance has been dropping, which is going to be the parabolic season to all-time high. What we can see currently, we are sitting in phase number 4, which is preparing for our entrance into the parabolic season. Requirements of this, of course, is a breakout of phase number 1, which requires 2 things. Number 1, the total cryptocurrency market cap needs to continue upwards, and Bitcoin dominance will need to drop. Both those things are potentially going to occur. So that is it for altcoins, guys. That is it for the Bitcoin dominance chart. Watch that 1 year long uptrend, 1.5 year long uptrend. Very important, as it's going to signify the first downtrend on Bitcoin dominance for a very, very long time. Let's go over now to discuss the weekly chart. The weekly chart for Bitcoin is still looking great. We discussed this basically every day for the last couple of days. We have had that major support resistance flip of the 60K level. If we bring up our pi cycle indicator, we can see the 60K level is the pi cycle high, and that 69K region is the all-time high for the 2021 cycle. Two different things, the pi cycle high and the all-time high. What we did see is that we saw a major red candle print that resulted in deviation, okay, validated deviation above the pi cycle high in 2021, which signified the end of the uptrend and the initiation of the bear market. What we saw in this instance is we saw a retest and bounce from the pi cycle high of the last cycle, which is a support resistance flip. This is very, very bullish. It propels Bitcoin into an uptrend. Furthermore, what we saw in the weekly candle was a bullish engulfing candle of that prior red weekly opening price, suggesting a macro trend reversal is in play. So overall, right now, the price action is looking fantastic on the higher time frame, very much in a position that could facilitate a directional continuation upwards. I'm discussing this in just a moment. So invalidations of this chart is, of course, a weekly close under 60,000 would indicate deviation, and this could result in a macro downtrend. That is the only scenario I could see the bears could take control, is a weekly candle under 60. Besides that, there is almost infinite upside in regards to the top of the next cycle. Let's go ahead now and discuss the macro charts and then move over to the short term. So there is something developing here on the Vortex trend indicator. Now we're going to explain what the Vortex trend indicator is in a second, but what we can see is the Vortex trend indicator is starting to show strength again on the weekly chart. We have again moving from this light green section, which is an indication of exhaustion, okay? And again, since we are green overall, we have overall strength. So this is overall weakness, this is overall strength. If we are in dark green, it is signifying we have positive strength, okay? We have positive strength. We are looking for a directional continuation upwards. If we have light green, it is suggesting exhaustion. And if we have, again, a flip between the two, it is a significant shift in overall strength of the market. So you think about it, momentum as it is a momentum indicator, you have positive momentum, you have negative momentum. If you have dark green, what you have is you have increasing positive momentum, okay? And when you have light green, you have decreasing positive momentum. The momentum is still positive, but we are seeing some signs of exhaustion. And when you flip into these red territories, that is when you see shifts in momentum. So shifts between positive to negative momentum. That is what you would call a bearish trigger. So what we're seeing here is we saw a period of exhaustion as a result of that 2-month-long consolidation, but we're starting to see momentum flip back positive here on the weekly chart, which is very, very important as Bitcoin is breaking through that pi cycle, that prior high point of the last cycle, which is fantastic. We are seeing a positive momentum shift as a consequence of us breaking through that 69K region, that prior all-time high point. So we do take a look at what has happened in prior instances. When we break through these high points, we generally see macro continuations upwards. Let's take a look over here. We saw a retest of that pi cycle high, we saw a small rejection to the pi cycle midlines, and then we saw a directional continuation upwards to create a new pi cycle high. What do we see in this instance? We saw a breakout of that pi cycle high, we saw a directional continuation upwards to create a new high point. What are we seeing in this instance? We are seeing exactly the same thing. We are seeing a breakout of that prior high point, expecting to see a directional continuation upwards. But structural verification alone is not sufficient. We have to back this up with data. So let's take a look at two indicators again. The Vortex trend indicator and the pi cycle indicator. What we can see is every single time we create this pi cycle high, we generally see a top on the Vortex indicator according to this downtrend. So therefore, since we have not retested this point, we have to assume the pi cycle high is not going to print, and therefore we are still expecting a macro continuation upwards for Bitcoin. Only if the retest of the Vortex indicator occurred would we expect a pi cycle high, and therefore if we see a macro downtrend occur prior to these points occurring, we would have to assume that would be a healthy correction, provided our structural invalidations of the macro uptrend remain intact. So let's take a look at that. If we look at our prior cycles, we can see from the point of which the pi cycle lower band breaks into the Ichimoku cloud, we remain above the mid bands of the pi cycle indicator until we create a pi cycle high. And as we create a pi cycle high, the Vortex trend indicator is retested. So we can see from that point of which the lower band breaks into the Ichimoku cloud, we remain above the pi cycle midline indicators again until we create the pi cycle high. So since we are above the midlines of the vortex of the pi cycle indicator, the Vortex trend is flipping green again and has not retested the downtrend, and thus we have not seen a pi cycle high. The only logical explanation to what is going to happen based on structural and technical data is we are still moving into a parabolic season, and we are still expecting macro continuations upwards. The invalidation for this would be a weekly candle close underneath the pi cycle midlines, as historically, once again, every single time we close underneath on the weekly chart, the pi cycle midlines right over here and right over here, after we break through the Ichimoku cloud of the pi cycle lower band, we see a pi cycle high print. So again, since we have not seen the vortex trend indicator retest, we would not expect to see a pi cycle high, and thus we would not expect to see the weekly candle break underneath the midlines of the pi cycle indicator. So we can cross-validate our thesis, our theory, from multiple perspectives here to come to a logical conclusion. Since 1 + 1 = 2, we are still in this uptrend, and our invalidations are very, very clear for that. So there is a risk that we do see something happen in this cycle that we haven't seen before, that throws a spanner in the works and changes everything, but we have to stick to the data. You have to stick to what is in front of you, what is most probable, and these random scenarios that could occur have just dialed down to the unknown risk of the market. And that is why risk management is important, because sometimes you can't predict what those unknown risk factors will be, and thus you have to prepare by managing your risk and having, again, your invalidation points to execute and actually react if those unknown risk factors occur. So let's go ahead and now jump into short-term price action. As we can see, Bitcoin has retested the upper level of resistance. As we said in yesterday's video, it is fantastic. It's a great move. However, if we want to see the macro continuation, which is absolutely necessity, I can't even speak. It is so important, guys. If we want to see a macro continuation upwards, we need to break above, again, macro continuation above 73,829. $73,829 is the point of which we need to break above to see the macro continuation again. If we look at the higher time frame, if we get that break above, we are expecting that macro continuation upwards, as we saw here, as we saw over here. We are looking for our parabolic season. Until that breakout point, we are approaching resistance, okay? This is an area of resistance, so with that, expect volatility to reduce, okay? Expect the price action to become a little bit less consistent. Expect there more indecision in the market, maybe a little bit more liquidity grabs, okay? A little bit more uncertainty on the short term. But when we are breaking above this point, we enter an area of low historical resistance as per the VRPV. Basically what that is price discovery. We are looking for a very volatile move upwards to around 85,000 as a consequence of the breakout of this 2-month horizontal consolidation. As per the depth of the channel applied to the perceived breakout point, that takes us into the $85,000 region. So let's go ahead now and jump over to the short term and discuss what is happening, guys, on the short term. On the short term, Bitcoin is still looking pretty decent. If we go ahead and bring up some indicators over here, such as the RSI, and draw in a current uptrend for Bitcoin, we can see we do have an uptrend as represented by this uptrending diagonal trend line. Alongside this, on the 4-hour chart, we have been establishing some higher lows. So we had an initial higher low here. If we go ahead and drag this one, we have established a new higher low right over here, which is going to be right underneath the major $67,000 area of support. Once again, the $67,000 area of support is a bullish trigger point, which facilitated a move into resistance. And therefore, it is now going to be an area of support, but it is also now going to be a bearish trigger. So if we go ahead and update this, this is going to be a bearish trigger for a move to the range low. So what does that mean? If we do see a breakdown of this support level now, we would expect to see a potential move to that range low. Again, are we going to see the whole move? Most likely not, but what it means is we break under 67, the range low is expected to be retested at a greater probability than the range high when we are underneath that dotted trend line. So the higher low is sitting underneath that area of support, which is a good thing. It provides, again, trend, or what we would call structural support underneath an area or underneath a bearish trigger point. But most importantly, if we do look at the current trend, we can see that current trend crosses through that area of support. So if we were to see a breakdown of that trend line, we would be expecting a retest of that $67,000 region, or a potential retest of the $66,000 region, which is the dotted trend line. And only if we lose the $66,000 region will we validate this area of support lost and expect a directional continuation back down to 64, 63, etc., etc. Until then, Bitcoin is very much in a uptrend. So let's go ahead and just move all this stuff over, clean it up a little bit. Bitcoin is very much in an uptrend. we can see right over here, guys, as represented by this diagonal trend line, Bitcoin is still moving upwards. Now, if we go ahead and validate this uptrend with the RSI, we can see if we draw our RSI trend line from our pivot points, which is going to be over here, okay, and our pivot points, which is going to be over here, we can see momentum is still positive. So we aren't at any risk of breaking down from this trend line yet. In fact, we are actually expecting a continuation back into that resistance. So right now, the trend is your friend until it ends. Expect a continuation into resistance. If we retest, we are looking for breakouts only when 73.825 is broken. If we break through, expect macro continuations upwards. For the bearish case scenario, any move down towards this trend line is not bearish. It is simply a healthy short-term correction. Only if we break down this trend line will we then expect the bears to start taking control, pushing us into 66, and only if we break below 66 are the bears officially back in control. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day. Catch you guys in the next one on Friday. We'll see you then.